Dear student, I am Dr. Gurjeet Singh from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Dwarka. Today topic of discussion is online privacy and data protection law. Very important discussion, very important topic. Now the main objective of the discussion is to understand the concept of privacy and online privacy. Second, to appreciate various modes of online violation of privacy issues. Next, to analyze the privacy regulation of European Union and India, and to understand the concept of data protection, to explain the protection provided to data protection under various jurisdictions, and at the end to enumerate the principle laid down for collection and processing of information. Now the learning outcome of the discussion would be to understand various methods of online privacy violation and data protection, law of India as well as European countries. The traditional concept of privacy is derived from the word privitus, meaning separated or deprived from the rest or solitude. Privacy is not secrecy, but it is a right to be left alone. It is a private information of individual's life outside the public domain. So there are some information which every person wants to keep it to himself, about his family, about his residence, about his physical structure, or about anything which is personal in nature, and they all fall under the right to privacy. Concept of privacy of course is not uniform because it has not been defined uniformly anywhere. Therefore, socio-political structure of the country define the scope and nature of privacy law in the country or in the state. For example, USA and European countries are very developed states, but the privacy concept is not uniformly applicable in their countries. While European country is more sensitive to the issue of privacy, USA is not that sensitive, so it has a narrow concept of privacy. As per processor, there are 4 categories of privacy concept. The first one is unreasonably unjustified breach of seclusion or solitude of another. Second, use of individual name for another's advantage. Next is putting the private fact in public domain, and the last one, defaming. Since there is no uniform definition or categorization of privacy, generally these 4 different kind of privacy are recognized. The first one privacy is information privacy, that is related to credit information, medical report, government records of the individual. Second is bodily privacy, that is genetic mapping, DNA, blood group, drug test, etc. Third is personal privacy like telephone calls, detail, emails, SMS, etc. And the last one is territory privacy, that is intrusion at home, workplace against the consent of the individual. Though the concept of privacy is not widely and uniformly applicable in every other country, but at international level the concept has been recognized time to time. For the first time it was recognized in Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 12 of the Convention or Declaration talks about it, and it says, no one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home or correspondence, nor to attack upon his honor and reputation. Everyone has the right to the protection of law against such interference or attack. Now in this particular definition, for the first time they recognize some kind of privacy issues that is related to family, home, honor and reputation. Now the same sort of concept was repeated in International Convention on Civil and Political Rights in Article 17, where it says no one shall be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his privacy, family, home or correspondence, nor to unlawful attack on his honor and reputation. And second, everyone has the right to the protection of law against such interference or attacks. Apart from that, these two important conventions, the third convention, that is European Human Rights Convention, as I already said, they are very sensitive to the issue of privacy. They have defined it more elaboratively. Article 8 of the convention says, everyone has the right to respect for his private and family life, his home and his correspondence. There shall be no interference by the public authority with the exercise of this right, except such as in accordance with the law and is necessary in a democratic society in the interest of national security, public safety or the economic well-being of the country, for the prevention of disorder or crime, for the protection of health or moral, or for the protection of right and freedom of other. So, first of all, this particular article in first part identify the privacy issue, which is related to family life, which is related to private life, which is related to home and the correspondence. And the second part of the definition talks about up to what extent there can be interference by the state, and it identify on what basis the state can always check the privacy issue, and those issues are on the basis of which there can be a check on privacy, that is national security, public safety, well-being of the country, prevention of disorder of a crime, etc., etc. So, the first time it identifies the exceptions of privacy also. So, this is the traditional part of privacy. So, privacy is some confidential information, some sensitive information which are very core to a individual, which are in the public, which are in the private domain and not in the public domain. They are part of privacy. Now, in a country like India, which is caste driven, religion driven, regional driven, the importance of privacy we can understand, and therefore, in India the privacy has to be protected very fundamentally, like any other fundamental right. Now, that was the traditional privacy concept. In cyberspace, the concept of privacy becomes more important because everyone participates in cyberspace and the information is disseminated in cyberspace like anything. We have not seen any such technology of cyberspace so far, and it is the most dynamic technology so far in terms of disseminating the information across the board without giving any kind of honor to the border issue or territoriality issue. Therefore, the privacy is very important in cyberspace also. There are some online privacy issues which is very important, like they can be online privacy issue of the nature browsing habits of users, date and time of visit, queries on the search engine, address of the page last visited, time spent on each page, file uploaded or downloaded, confidential information, password, online account number, etc. Now, these are some of the sensitive information when you use any cyberspace which can be seen by or which can be viewed by any other person, and if it is done, then it is a kind of privacy violation of the person who is using any kind of cyberspace. Now, there are different kind of technical methods which are available in cyberspace, which makes the violation of this kind of privacy issue. Like, first of all, Google's web history option. Google has a web history, Google search engine has a web history option, whereby they can find out which particular website you are looking into, what kind of website you are searching, or what kind of information you are searching. So, they keep the archive of all kind of information which you are seeking. Then there are specific software package to keep track of cyber movement like Sentry or Family Safe. Now, this kind of software are being created and used by the elders to check or to keep a check on the children who are using some kind of cyberspace to find out to what different activities they are doing on cyberspace. So, it is a kind of check on the children. Now, this is also a violation of a privacy issue of the children. Then data mining and big data. Now, big data is now a big concept. Sophisticated technology makes it possible that putting in together by the software or linking together the different kind of information, they can come out with the privacy information of an individual or a group. Then photo tagging, community sites, discussion forum, deep pocket inspection. We are using every other day the different kind of social media. We are connected to social media of one another, and 24-hour we are connected by mobile phones. So, there are many privacy information which we pass over without knowing the implication of those kind of privacy information to the others. Then we have cookies. Now, there are various kind of cookies. Some of the cookies by well-known website owners are asking for the permission of the user before being attached to a particular site or before being downloaded to your computer. The function of this cookies is that whatever search, whatever activities you do on a particular website, they provide the input of all those information to the website owner. The website owner, taking advantage of those kind of information, can get to know about your taste, interest, and then can manipulate the information or can make use of the information for the e-commerce purpose or for the advertising purpose. Then there is a concept of spam. They are unsolicited information, they are unsolicited message from the commercial world. They also create some privacy issue. Then phishing, malware, identity theft and web bug, they are some methods of violation of privacy issues. Combined with all these methods, they take the important inputs from your use of the web and provide this information to the website owner or to the interested group, so that they can make use of the information for their own commercial benefit or to cause any kind of harm to you. So, this is the online privacy, and we can understand if the violation of this online privacy is happening, then different kind of crimes can be created. Now, women related crime, particularly cyber stalking, child related crimes are very prominent, and to some extent they take advantage of this. Now, phishing is one, or cyber financial frauds, they are some of the crimes which is only happening because some of the privacy informations are always there floated or available on the cyberspace, because you are using cyberspace more and often without knowing what kind of violation of your privacy issues are happening. Coming to the privacy issue and constitutional right in India, privacy was not so famous or important right for India, and therefore, it was not part of the constitution at the earlier point of time. The concept evolved somewhere around in 1960 onward, with the first time the case of Karak Singh versus state of Uttar Pradesh. In this case, the issue was relating to constitutionality of certain guidelines relating to surveillance and domiciliary visit of police. The constitutionality of this provision was challenged under the grounds that they violate fundamental right to privacy under Article 21. Court in this case, in majority opinion, held that the case refused to recognize the right to privacy as part of fundamental right. However, they recognize the common law rights of citizen to enjoy the liberty of their houses. So, this case did not recognize privacy as a fundamental right. In the case of Govinda versus state of Madhya Pradesh, in this case the court was more inclined to consider the right to privacy as fundamental right. It reflected its opinion in the opinion of Justice Mathew as the rights and freedom of citizens are set forth in the constitution in order to guarantee that the individual, his personality and those things stamped with his personality shall be free from official interference except where a reasonable basis for the intrusion exists. In this sense, many of the fundamental rights of the citizens can be described as contributing to right to privacy. Then the third case is Raj Gopala versus State of Tamil Nadu. The court in this case held that the right to privacy is implicit in the right to life and liberty guaranteed to the citizen of this country by Article 21. It is the right to let alone. A citizen has the right to safeguard the privacy of his own, his family, marriage, procreation, motherhood, childbearing, education, among other matters. No one can publish anything concerning the above matter without his consent, whether truthful or otherwise, and whether laudatory or critical. So, for the first time, the court in this case recognized that right to privacy is part of Article 21 of the Constitution. In fact, the advantage of this case is that court also recognized the different categories of privacy issues, and it also recognized the restriction to some extent. The court said further that the rule aforesaid is subject to the exception that any publication concerning to the aforesaid aspect becomes unobjectionable if such publication is based on public record, including court record. This is for the reason that once a matter becomes a public record, the right to privacy no longer consists and it becomes a legitimate subject for the comment for press and media, among others. So, for the first time, apart from saying all these things, the court recognized the public record or the information which is there in the public domain and the information which is there in the private domain. The court said that the information which is there in the public domain is not an issue of privacy, and so there can be accessibility relating to that particular information because the information is always available. And the most prominent example in this case is that the public domain information is if the things are there on the public report. In the case of Mr. X versus Hospital Z, the apex court continued to balance the conflict by recognizing that the medical records are generally considered to be the private information of the individual. This right is subject to exception in the case where the non-disclosure of medical information could endanger the life of other citizen. In case of People's Union Civil Litigation versus Union of India, the court held that telephone taping without the proper safeguards in terms of proper procedure established by law is in violation and invasion of individuals' right to privacy. The apex court in this case ordered the creation of a review committee to review all surveillance measures authorized by the Act. The court ordered that the procedure has to be tested on the ground of Article 14, 19 and 21. So, by discussing all these important cases, we can understand by this time the court has very clearly said that privacy is basically a fundamental right and it has to be read in Article 21, right to life. At the same time, the court also recognized by this time the different kind of exception to the privacy issue. In this background, we can say that though the constitutional right has been defined by court, but there is no specific legislation relating to privacy in India so far. Of course, the Privacy Bill 2011 is pending in the Parliament and it is still to be discussed. So, we can presume that in the coming days the Privacy Act can be there, a specific Privacy Act can be there. In the absence of any kind of legislation, we find some kind of privacy issue related regulation in Information Technology Act. Because the issue is online privacy, therefore, I feel that this regulation has to be discussed to some extent. The Information Technology Act has come out with the rules in 2011, that is the Information Technology Reasonable Security Practice and Procedure and Sensitive Personal Data or Information Rules 2011. It defines the personal information and it also defines the sensitive information. This sensitive information are of the nature of privacy information. It recognizes 7 different kind of privacy or sensitive information. The first one is password. Second, financial information such as bank account, credit card, debit card number. Next, physical, physiological and mental health condition, sexual orientation, medical records and history, biometric information, any detail relating to above provided to body corporate. These are some of the important sensitive information and they are of the nature of privacy information. In fact, the rule also creates an exception that this sensitive information does not relates to any information which is there in the public domain and any information which is furnished under the Right to Information Act 2005 or any other law for the time being. So, saying thereby any information which is there in the public domain plus any information which you seek under Right to Information which is a public record or which provides you some kind of information which are there in the public record, they can be they are not part of sensitive information and therefore they are not part of the concept of privacy. Now there are various sections of Information Technology Act which incorporate some provisions relating to privacy violations like section 43C, section 66A deals with punishment for sending offensive messages, section 66B talks about punishment for dishonesty, receiving stolen computer resources, section 66 talks about punishment for theft, section 66A talks about punishment for violation of privacy, section 69 talks about power for interception or monitoring or decryption of information, section 69B talks about power to monitor and collect traffic data for cyber security. Now there are some exceptions to privacy information also which are provided in section 69 of Information Technology Act, and it says very clearly that government can or central government can create some exceptions relating to these privacy issues, and they are of the nature like interest of the sovereignty or integrity of India, defense of India, security of state, friendly relation with foreign state, public order and preventing incitement to the commission of any cognizable offence. Now these are 6 different kind of issues with regard to which the central government can take out any information even if they fall in the private domain, and they can use that information and that will not be a privacy violation. Then government has asked Justice A.P. Saab, former Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, to come out with a national policy relating to privacy, and they have come out with a national policy which they have submitted to Government of India. The guiding principle of the policy is that there has to be a notice and there has to be notice at the time of collecting any kind of privacy information, then choice and consent in every stage of data collection, then collection limitation, the whatever data you create or whatever information you collect, that should be created in lawful manner, then the purpose limitation, the process of information or the information which you take should have a proper purpose, and that purpose should be a lawful one. Second, access and correction of information. Third is disclosure of information to third party without the consent is a violation, and then security issue, that whatever information you collect, that information should be fully secure so that it cannot be violated, and the accountability of data controller. So far we discussed the privacy, online privacy issue in cyberspace. So that was the first part of the presentation. And in the first part of the presentation we have seen that the Indian provision relating to online privacy issue as well as the European countries provision relating to online privacy issue. Now coming to the second part of the discussion, that is data protection. Now the concept of data is different from the concept of privacy, though to some extent they are twins. The concept of privacy and data are twins, but they are not identical. So there are some differences. One of the most prominent differences is that while privacy issue is a personal issue in nature, data protection is actually the proprietary issues, or it has a proprietary value. So far there is no much definition of data, but IT Act, Information Technology Act defines data in their section 2 itself, and it defines as a representation of information, knowledge, facts, concepts or instruction which are being prepared or have been prepared in a formalized manner and is intended to be processed, is being processed or has been processed in a computer system or computer network, and may be in any form including computer printouts, magnetic or optical storage media, punched card, punched tapes, or stored internally in the memory of the computer. Though the concept of process has not been defined as to how this process of data is happening, but this definition is only relating to data. Now data are generated in cyberspace because plenty of information are lying on cyberspace because of our use of cyberspace, and because different kind of sophisticated softwares are available which makes it possible or which process the information and come out with the important data which is required for the commercial world. Now the process part of the data protection is important, and it has acquired the importance and interest from world body as to how this information should be processed and how this data should be collected. Now Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Forum had come out with the principle of data protection. They have come out with 8 important principles of data protection, which is to great extent has been incorporated in European countries and in many other countries with regard to collection of data and process of data. Now the first principle is relating to collection limitation, which require that there should be limited collection of the information or really limited collection of data relating to a particular issue. The second issue is data quality principle. When you are collecting the data, the utmost importance should be given to the accuracy, transparency of the data which is being generated and created and collected. The third one is purpose specification principle. At the time of creating, collecting and storing the data, the purpose has to be very much focused. There should be a purpose for which this data should be collected and processed. They should not at any point of time divergent from that particular purpose. So the purpose of data should be very much focused and clear at the initial time of data collection. Then use the limitation principle. The data should be used for the purpose for which it is created or it is stored, and not for any other purpose. Security safeguard principle. Now this principle says that whatever data you collect or whatever data you create, collect and store, it should be secure from any kind of hacking, malware, etc., so that it should be safe and it can be used accurately with transparency. So all security measures should be taken care while collecting and processing the data from different sources. Then the next one is openness principle. From time to time different kind of principles, different kind of initiative is taken at the World Forum relating to data collection. So the policy of data collection should be open to receive as it is the purpose of data collection. Then next is individual participation principle. The individuals whose data is collected and stored and processed, their participation at some point of processing is very important, and it should be taken care of, that they should be given the right opportunity to participate in the data processing. And the last one is accountability principle. Whatever data is created, whatever data is stored, someone should be accountable for keeping it safe, for processing and for the use of the data. The whole accountability should be given or imposed on the controller of data. So it seeks some kind of accountability. All these 8 principles are very important, and as I said, they have been incorporated worldwide to a great extent. Now, European Union data protection laws are there in the form of directives of data protection, that is 1995, and they had kept to some extent this principle. Now, they allow the processing of data on if the subject has given some kind of consent relating to it. So, saying thereby the consent is very important at the time of collection of data. Processing is part of the contract to which subject is a party or on the request of subject prior to the contract. There should be some kind of contract whereby the subject has given the consent relating to processing of data. Then next requirement is that the processing should be in accordance with the legal obligations. So, rule of law, the legal obligations of the state has to be taken care at the time of collection and processing of data. Processing is necessary to protect the interest of subject, or the other principle as highlighted in the slides. Now, coming to the Indian part of the data protection, as I said, we do not have a specific legislation relating to data. It is only the information technology which defines it in the initial section of IT Act. Apart from that, in 2011, under the pressure of the European countries and outsourcing e-commerce, the Indian government has come out with the guidelines in the form of rules in IT Act, that is known as the Information Technology Reasonable Security Practice and Procedure and Sensitive Personal Data or Information Rules 2011. Now, in India, it is the body corporate which collects information with specific purpose in mind, and at the same time process it and does the commercial aspect or take care the commercial aspect of those data information. Therefore, these rules are created for the body corporate as well as for the individuals to take care or to follow the procedure which has been highlighted in the rules of 2011. The rules are as it is, that there should be a privacy policy which should be very much visible, or which should come out, which should be declared by the body corporate, and that should be there in the website of the body corporate. And this privacy policy should deal with the personal information, including sensitive information. It should say what kind of policy is there, what kind of information which you want to collect, and why you want to collect, and how you want to use it. Now, before collecting the sensitive information, it is required that as per the rule, that the consent has to be taken from the subjects, and this consent has to be taken in the form of writing. So, letter, fax, email are the express mode of consent which has been accepted by the rule. Further, it says that the privacy policy should be published on the website of the body corporate or any person who is working on behalf of the body corporate. Then further it says that the nature of sensitive information has to be recognized in the privacy policy itself, and individuals are required to inform the purpose of collection of this information. The information should be collected for the lawful purpose only, and the relevant information should relate to the function or activity of the body corporate. Next, the principle is the information collected should be used only for the purpose for which it has been collected, and it shall not be retained for any longer than for purpose which it has been created. The next principle is option should be provided to the provider to subject to provide the data or information. Apart from that, while availing services at any time, the provider shall have the option to withdraw its consent, and that shall be in writing. So, at any point of time, if the user feel or the subjector feel that this is not a proper, or he does not want to participate, then the consent can be withdrawn. That option should be there. Further, in case of any kind of grievances, the grievance of the provider relating to the use of data should be addressed by the body corporate in a time bound manner, that is within a month, as suggested by the rule. Further principle is information to the third party cannot be done without the prior permission. So, there are instances when it has been found that the body corporate disseminate the information relating to data and the processing of data to the third party. Now, if it is happening, then the principle asks that if the third party information or third party data is transferred to the third party, then the prior permission of the subject is required. It should not be done without the consent of the subject. Then further principle, it says that the transfer of information is allowed only in two conditions. Those two conditions are very much recognized by the rule. The first condition is that the requirement of the same label of data protection that is adhered to by the body corporate. And second, if transfer is necessary for the performance of the lawful contract between the body corporate or any person on its behalf and providers of the information, or where such person has consented to data transfer. So, the two most important conditions are that the third party should also be having the same kind of privacy policy or the same kind of protection, and at the same time the information should be collected for lawful purposes and in lawful manner. And the last principle is that reasonable security has to be maintained. Now, this is as per the international certification of 27001, that security has to be preserved, that guideline has to be followed. Now, these are the some principle which Indian Information Technology Act has incorporated in Rule 2011 relating to data protection. But that is fine, but there are chances and there have been instances where there has been a contravention as well as crime relating to data protection. In those cases, the IT Act provides civil remedy. In section 43, it has come out with a list of different kind of contravention relating to computer or computer data, or relating to computer virus, relating to modification, deletion of the information. Now, all that particular part is taken care by section 43, and depending on the amount of damage, the compensation can be paid to the subject or the user. Now, apart from that, the criminal activities relating to data has been addressed by different sections of the Act. Now, hacking is one important concept which has implication on data processing. Apart from that, section 66B, section 72, section 72A of the IT Act deals with the data protection and the remedy part of it. Now, in this way, the Indian provision of the data protection is applicable. So, we can say at this point of time that it is not very full-fledged and very effective one for the time being, but it's nevertheless we can say that it is one principle which can be which is available and which is applicable in the absence of having a very specific legislation on the issue of privacy and data protection. So far we have seen the European countries' practice in relation to online and data protection, and Indian condition or Indian situation or legal framework on the issue of online privacy and data protection. Thank you.